Chief Press Secretary to Uche. Uche's appointment follows the 10-year aspiration of the Dakuku Peterside-led board that was inaugurated on March 10, 2016. Uche was the former Speaker of the 5th Delta State House of Assembly. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has assured Nigerians that the National Assembly would not pass the social media bill into law without proper consideration of Nigerians' opinion. Lawan said this in an address delivered to declare open a public hearing on the social media bill presently under consideration by the National Assembly. The public hearing, which held on Monday, was organized by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters. The Senate President said freedom of speech and the undeniable rights of man are issues that should not be compromised under any guise. Lawan added that the Senate referred the bill to its Committee for Legislative Work so as to get the inputs of all concerned Nigerians. He stated that for the country to experience peace, growth and development, Nigerians must engage each other on ways to address the excesses and limitations that were consequences of the abuse of freedom. Lawyers of the deposed Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, have described the banishment of Sanusi from Kano State as illegal. The head of the legal team, Mahmoud Abubakar, said they will take legal actions to challenge Sanusi's banishment and detention if he is not immediately released. The lead counsel said the practice of banishment does not have a place in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Gentlemen, we have not spoken to the Emir since yesterday, but we understand that they're at their destination somewhere in a remote part of Nasarawa State after driving for nearly 7 hours yesterday night and arrived at their destination at 2 a.m. This morning. We understand the choice of the location to detain His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II was intended to cause maximum trauma and distress. This again is illegal and unconstitutional. According to instructions we received from the Emir through his Chief of Staff, we are directed to take legal action to challenge the legality of the Emir's detention and banishment. We have the firm view that this action is illegal and unconstitutional. Section 35 of the Constitution of our country guarantees every citizen the right to personal liberty. The basis of the denial of personal liberty are set out clearly in that section of the Constitution. None applies to the case of the Emir.
The lawyer also called authorities to ensure the immediate release of Sanusi to enable him reunite with his family.
We call on the authorities, in particular the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of Department of State Services, and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice to ensure the immediate release of His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II so that he can be reunited with his family. We are concerned about the personal safety and security of His Highness at the remote location where he is being held, and wish to call on all well-meaning Nigerians and the international community to bring their influence to bear to ensure that His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II regains his liberty immediately and to guarantee his safety and security.
The presidency has reacted to the dethronement of Mohammed Sanusi as the Emir of Kano. Reacting to the development, one of the media aides to President Buhari, Tolu Ogunlesi, said a sitting governor can dethrone anybody, citing the incident between Governor Nyesom Wike and traditional leaders in Rivers State. Ogunlesi said the system has made it that way, adding that nobody is above being dethroned. As he said, governors formally appoint them, present them to staff of office, and fund their officers. The special assistant to the president on new media photo stated that the dethronement of a monarch in the capacity of the Emir of Kano was not new, adding that Sanusi's fate was not only peculiar to the northern part of the country. The House of Representatives have invited the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the Ministries of Labour and Education over the ongoing warning strike by members of the union. This was the resolution reached during Tuesday's plenary following a motion of urgent public importance raised by a member of the chamber, Datrong Bagos. Bagos said there was need for the House to intervene in the disagreement between the federal government and ASU over the integrated payroll and personnel information system and other underlying issues. Other lawmakers also suggested the issue be resolved to avoid an indefinite strike by ASU, adding that the strike is a national embarrassment. Classroom activities is still ongoing in some universities in Rivers State despite the 2 weeks warning strike embarked on by the Academic Staff Union of Universities yesterday. Our correspondent, Sandra Kenneth, who is monitoring the action, reports the students were seen receiving classes in Ignatius, Ajuri University of Education, and River State University. Meanwhile, classroom activities have been put to a halt in the University of Port Harcourt. The ASU chairman of Uniport, Austin Sado, declined comments on the 2 weeks warning strike, assuring that information will be passed tomorrow after the Congress meeting. You recall the national president, ASU, had announced the 2 weeks warning strike, which commenced on Monday, the 9th of March. The Minister of Health, Osage Eyanire, has confirmed that 35 people were tested for coronavirus in Nigeria on March 9, 2020. Eyanire, in a television program monitored from Port Harcourt, said only people who have of recent traveled to countries infected by the coronavirus were tested.
Yeah, so as of yesterday, we had tested just about 35 people. If you add the figures from yesterday, the reason is at the moment we're only testing people that have a travel history to one of those countries. So if you come back, if you've been back in Nigeria within 14 days of travel to any of these 5 countries, so China, I named them earlier, then you have respiratory symptoms, we would offer you the test. But if you're not coming back from those 5 countries, we don't at the moment. We're considering adding a few more countries to that list. We're doing a risk assessment over the next couple of days based on what the news we're getting from other countries, and we'll define our policy. So
he therefore called for the cooperation of Nigerians, especially medical practitioners, to look into the travel of their patients. He added that the index case was identified by a medical practitioner in private practice who realized the patient had respiratory symptoms and took proper action to inform them.
This case, if you remember this index case that came in, we didn't find him because of our work at the point of entry, as important as that may be. We found him because an astute physician, actually working in the private sector, saw this patient, understood that he had come back from Italy and had had some respiratory symptoms, and then knew to call us, and we then responded. So in between all of this, what we are appealing to doctors, really at the moment, the travel history is so important. If you have a patient presenting with respiratory symptoms.
The Lagos State government has said that the second person who recently tested positive for coronavirus will be managed at the biosecurity facility of the mainland infectious disease hospital Yaba in Lagos State. Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, revealed this in a press statement by the Lagos State Ministry of Health. Abayomi said 40 persons had been in isolation at Lafarge Health Facility in Ewekoro in Ogun State since the confirmation of the index case. He also noted that the second confirmed case of COVID-19 indicated the first person-to-person transmission in Nigeria. You're listening to the World News at 6 on Today 95.1 FM, a voice of the people. After the break, more news, foreign and sports diary. Stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
95.1 FM, voice of the people.
And we're back.
The time is 11 minutes gone past the hour of 6, and you are still tuned to the World News on Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, let's bring you the rest of the bulletin. The River State government has directed all contractors in charge of construction at the government secondary school Okaki in Outer West local government area to immediately return to site. State Commissioner for Education, Professor Kani Ibeku, gave the directive shortly after inspecting the level of construction at the school. The commissioner frowned at the abandonment of the project by the contractors despite receiving funds for the project. The commissioner was accompanied by the permanent secretary and other top ministry officials on the inspection. The protest by the people of Umasala in Aminigboko Emugan clan in Abua Odwa local government area of River State against the multinational operating in the area has taken another dimension. The people of Umasala are protesting against the multinational over alleged neglect. Our correspondent reports that elderly men, women, youth sat on the floor with some beer buddied to draw the attention of Shell Petroleum Development Company. The company was expected to visit the site for assessment of crops on right-of-way in some part of the land. Some of the community people who spoke with our correspondent said the multinational, after compensating them for the contaminated crops and river, have refused to carry them along as they vow to resist and protect their inheritance.
That land is the land that we used to take and eat food and train our children to schools. And upon all what Shell came here, they have not carried even one of our boys in this family. They have not employed.
Right from the day one when Shell came here and they said that they want to part of that family, they even promised us that after when they pay us the surface right and everything, they promised us anything concerning contract, employment, supply and all the rest. Nothing has been done. Till today, they went there and used soldiers to enter the land with.
They have collected the farm, destroyed our works, even robbers that our husbands plant, they destroy the robbers. They promise us to do things for us, employ our sons and daughters. But right now, they do not accept to employ anyone. Our daughters and sons, they are here suffering. Our husbands are suffering.
We are the rightful owner of Igbogoloma and part of Opopo. SPCC choose not to deal with the family that own the place, and they are dealing with people who do not own anything.
Our correspondent Uchendu Ejowo, who visited the community, reports that no official of the multinational came out to address the protesters. Counsel to the family of the late auto mechanic Princess Lawrence has been asked by Justice James Omotosha of the Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt to regularize court processes on the murder case. Justice Omotosha gave the directive after noticing some errors in the process filed by the lawyer to the family and advised the counsel to the family to make necessary corrections to reflect human rights for the deceased and not for the living or applicants whose rights are not breached. Our correspondent Uchendu Ejowo reports that Justice Omotosha thereafter adjourned till 17th of March 2020 for continuation of hearing. Speaking outside the courtroom, counsel to the police Okari Egop expressed worries over the 3 cases filed by the family of late Chima, describing it as abuse of court process which should not be had.
So what we're saying there is that, like, on one particular right, you cannot duplicate action. That is my cause of argument. And the court hear me out. So what I was saying there is that you file, the father filed, the mother filed, and that person will come and file. Duplicity of action, which is an abuse of court process. That is where I'm going to. The court, after shutting me down, also address it, but I'm ready to move on. What I was saying there is that we're not happy that somebody died, but it must be established that somebody killed somebody for that person to be liable. So I'm saying in essence, I don't want to preempt the court. I am for the first, third, and fourth respondent. The first is the IG, the service of police reversed, and the third is the commander. These people do not effect any arrest. So in any way, they cannot be responsible for the death of this alleged achievement.
While counsel to Ikunado's family, Lawrence, said she will effect the necessary changes before the next adjourned date.
God gave us a hint. There are some words that we have to add in our prayers to make everything, to work well. So it's quite a novel application. Somebody died and we are trying to enforce the rights of his relations. So the court has to differentiate it. It's not an application enforcing the right of the dead person because the dead is already dead and we cannot enforce his right. Enforcement has to be for the living. That's what happened in court. This is not the main case. This is not the criminal case. Criminal case, those officers, especially those that have been arrested and are in detention, they will certainly be brought to court. But this is a fundamental rights application.
A member of the River State Task Force on Roadside Trading and Illegal Motorbike has been allegedly stabbed by a fruit vendor in Rukpoku axis of Port Harcourt. Chijioke Wobo, in an interview with our correspondent Sandra Kenneth, said that in an attempt to apprehend the fruit vendor who was selling watermelon by the roadside, he was stabbed.
So unfortunately, where would they walk? They walk. Concept man where they say watermelon. Unfortunately, to go catch my carry knife and stab me. He wanted to stab me in my tummy. So I get to dodge, come and touch me in my hand. I don't go cross.
When contacted, the zonal commander for Rukpoku, Rumokoro, and Igruta, Jerry Amadi, said that the fruit vendor has been arrested by security agencies attached to him.
While we're still doing our operation, normal routine on the task force, we saw a street hawker that sells watermelon. So I stopped the vehicle and asked my team to go and apprehend him. And on seeing the task force coming, he brought out the knife he was using to cut the watermelon. As in his intentions were to just stab him with the knife on his stomach. So we were able to still, with the help of the Nigerian police officers attached to us, to still apprehend him and handcuffed him and took him to our mobile court where the law has taken its course. As you have seen that we don't carry gun, we don't carry machetes, we only defend ourselves only with the police attached to us.
On the foreign scene, Morocco has recorded its first death from coronavirus. Morocco Health Ministry said the deceased is an 89-year-old woman who suffered from chronic health problems. She returned to Morocco in late February before testing positive to the virus and was transferred for medical supervision to a hospital in Casablanca. 2 other infections have been confirmed in the kingdom: a Moroccan man who came home from Italy and a French tourist who arrived in Marrakesh on Saturday. Both are under medical supervision. Moroccan authorities have imposed restrictions on sporting and cultural events. Several people have been arrested by authorities in recent days for allegedly spreading misinformation on coronavirus on social networks. The Democratic Republic of Congo has confirmed its first coronavirus case in the capital, Kinshasa, the third most populous city in Africa. Health Minister Eteni Longondo said the patient is a Belgian citizen who has been in the country for several days. Kinshasa, which has a population of more than 10 million people, has direct flight from Brussels and Paris. The Democratic Republic of Congo hopes to declare next month an end to a 19-month Ebola epidemic that has killed 2,264 people, as no new cases have been discovered for 3 weeks. And now to end the news, here's a summary of the major stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has said that a total of 3.7 billion naira has been recovered from the Niger Delta Development Commission contractors. The opposed Emir of Kano has threatened to challenge his banishment and detention. The Rivers State government has directed contractors in charge of construction at the government secondary school Okaki to return to site. On the foreign scene, we told you that Morocco has recorded its first death from coronavirus. That was the news as edited by Funaya Beme and Dukai. For comments and inquiries, please do call 0815-341-8657 or 0814-434-3502. Send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also read our stories on www.todayfmlive.com. I am Kala Da Korubatibo. Thank you for listening and stay tuned to Today 95.1 FM. Good evening to you. Soccer Nation is up next. Don't go anywhere.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Let's talk football. Let's talk football.
What a devastating strike!
Football is a leisure game.
Sports is actually my job.
Football is boring.
That's not true. It's way more important than that.
What a wonderful goal! Fantastic strike!
As far as I'm concerned, sports is all about passion.
Sports Attack, weekdays 7:30 a.m. and today's Sports Live 3 p.m. Weekends 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
For all you need to know in the world of sports, leave the dial on Today 95.1 FM.
Oh, and it's Kanuwako right now. Kanuwako moving the ball from the central midfield. Oh no, Kanuwako crosses over to Jejo Kocha and it's a goal!
What is this magic? I need that magic.
Updates, yeah. Oh yeah, baby, see how it's a goal.
Yes, a very good evening and welcome to the best 15 minutes of football you can get anywhere on radio. The show is Soccer Nation, reaching you live on this frequency, 95.1 FM, right here in the city of Port Harcourt. My name is Victor Oriahi, and I am set to fly you through the most recent happenings emerging from the ever-exciting world of football. Let's start from African football, where CAF will now be using the video assistant refereeing technology, that is VAR, in the semi-finals of the Champions League this season. VAR was introduced by CAF at last year's Champions League final between Esperance and Wydad Casablanca, where it caused a problematic ending to the tournament. Esperance were crowned CAF Champions League winners after Wydad Casablanca abandoned the game following VAR controversy. The second leg was halted for over an hour as Wydad refused to continue the game unless the VAR was checked, saying that no one informed them before the game that VAR will not be used. Well, they will be having the VAR used in the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League this season. Meanwhile, to news that happened during the weekend, where an Egyptian bidding to become the oldest professional footballer ever scored on his debut at the age of 73. 5. Yes, you heard me right. Elzadin Bahader needs to play 2 full games to qualify as an entry in the Guinness World Records book. He started in impressive fashion, playing a full 90 minutes despite injury on Saturday for the October 6 team in the third tier of Egyptian football. The father of 4 and grandfather of 6 scored from the penalty spot, whereupon he was mobbed by teammates as October 6 drew 1-1 with rivals Genius. Quoting him, he says, "I became the oldest professional footballer scoring a goal in an official game. This is something that was achieved in the last minute of the game that I thought I wouldn't achieve. I was injured, and all what I hoped for was to continue for the full 90 minutes and play the next game." Well, he's now the oldest footballer to ever score in a competitive game. Without further ado, we head straight to the European scene. Let's start with the English Premier League, where a game was played yesterday, and that was Leicester City versus Aston Villa. And Leicester City's manager, Brendan Rodgers, thought his side looked back to their best as Jamie Vardy ended his goal drought in their convincing win over Aston Villa. The Foxes had only picked up 2 wins in their past 8 Premier League games and 2 points in their past 4 matches. They led through Harvey Barnes' goal after the winger took advantage of visiting keeper Pepe Reina's baffling decision to run out of his box. Vardy's first touch after coming on was to score a penalty after Tyrone Mings' handball before he smashed in at the near post, his first goal in 10 games. Barnes scored his second from a Mark Albrighton's cross, and according to Brendan Rodgers, he says it was a very, very good win, an important win. The past few games, we haven't been at our level. He went further to say we were much better in the evening. After the first goal, we went on and played very well. We want to win and early. We want to win and early. And early on, you could see our confidence wasn't where it has been. The only way you regain that confidence is hard work, and these players have been brilliant.
What is this magic? I need that magic.
Meanwhile, we've got to talk about this coronavirus, where let's start with this one, where Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos owner Evangelos Marinaki has tested positive for coronavirus. Marinaki was at the City Ground for Forest Championship fixture against Millwall on Friday. Olympiacos are due to host Wolves in the Europa League on Thursday, although the BBC understands that Wolves have been asked for the game to be postponed. Well, Mr. Marinaki was diagnosed after showing his first symptoms on his return to Greece. During his stay in Nottingham, he did not show any symptoms of the virus. The club are seeking advice from medical professionals and the relevant governing bodies to ensure the correct measures are taken. Well, still talking coronavirus, all sport in Italy. Yes, not a good one. All sports in Italy has been suspended until at least the 3rd of April because of coronavirus. The country's Prime Minister, Giuseppe Conte, has announced. This includes Serie A, but not Italian clubs or national teams participating in international competition. Well, Italy's top flight had already said all their games will be played behind closed doors until the 3rd of April. But Conte extended a series of strict quarantine measures, including a ban on public gatherings to all of Italy. Earlier, Italy's Olympic Committee recommended the move to suspend all sports at all levels after hosting a special meeting of sporting federations on Monday. Italy has been the European country worst hit by coronavirus so far, with over 9,000 confirmed cases and more than 450 deaths. Well, that means there will be no Serie A game or Coppa Italia till at least the 3rd of April. Meanwhile, still talking about coronavirus, the game between Manchester United and LASK will be played behind closed doors because of coronavirus concern. LASK made the decision following advice from the Austrian government. United sold their allocation of just under 900 tickets, but the game is one of several European club competition fixtures that will have no spectators. Wolves' Europa League last 16 first leg match at Olympiacos on Thursday will also be played in a near-empty stadium. The BBC understand Wolves have asked for their game to be postponed, and their manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, has said, if we have to go, we will, but we don't agree. We are not happy to go. So those 2 games will be played behind closed doors. Meanwhile, still talking about coronavirus before we move on to other matters, Pep Guardiola, the coach of Manchester City, says he would prefer matches to be postponed rather than played behind closed doors. Having seen matches across Europe played in empty stadiums, Guardiola feels it is only a matter of time before the Premier League is affected. The City manager said he will be guided by the games authorities about how games should be played, but his preference would be postponement. He says, does football works without spectators? If the people can't come, there is no sense. We will follow what we have to do, but I wouldn't like to do it without the people. End of quote. He went for us to say we are conscious of it because it has happened already in Italy. The league is suspended, and in Spain, the next 2 weeks are behind closed doors. It is going to happen here. The tendency rises at the same level as Italy before. The tendency rises at the same level as Italy before and in Spain right now. The other issue you have to ask is it worse to play football without the spectators? We do our job for the people, and if the people cannot come to watch us, there is no sense. I would not love to play matches in the Premier League or Champions League or the Cups without the people, but we are going to follow the instructions of the government. Well, lastly, matches in the top two divisions of Spain and France are to be played behind closed doors because of coronavirus concern. That is in the La Liga and the French Ligue 1. These two, they would now be playing all their games behind closed doors. Let's now move to other matters making the rounds in the world of football, where Thibaut Courtois and Marcelo, both Real Madrid players, are injury doubts for the Champions League last 16-second leg against Manchester City on the 17th of March. Belgium goalkeeper Courtois has an abductor injury, while Brazil left-back Marcelo has a hamstring problem. Real have not given a timescale for their recovery, but say both players will be monitored. The 13-time European champions will already be without captain Sergio Ramos after he was sent off in the first leg. Real lost 2-1 to City at the Bernabeu after late goals from Gabriel Jesus and Kevin De Bruyne. Well, still talking about you want to say the UEFA Champions League and players ruled out. Liverpool have confirmed that their goalkeeper Alisson will miss this week's Premier Champions League game, as well as the Merseyside derby with a hip injury. The 27-year-old has missed the last two matches and has now been ruled out of Monday's trip to Everton, as well as our Wednesday's Champions League second leg game with Atletico Madrid. Standing Adrian will continue in goal. The former Roma keeper has been left out of the Brazil squad for their World Cup qualifiers against Bolivia and Peru on the 28th of March and 1st of April. Alisson, who has played 28 times for Liverpool this season, picked up the injury in training before the 2-0 FA Cup fifth round defeat at Chelsea. The world's most expensive goalkeeper when he joined Liverpool in 2018 in a deal worth up to £66.8 million. Alisson also missed 9 weeks of the campaign with a calf injury sustained in their opening league match against Norwich City in August. Meanwhile, Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson is fit to return for their Champions League last 16-second leg with Atletico Madrid at Anfield. The midfielder has not played since suffering a hamstring injury in the first leg, which Atletico won 1-0. Goalkeeper Alisson is out with a hip injury for the defending champions. And according to Jurgen Klopp, he says not a lot of the Atletico players have played at Anfield before, and that is what we want to use. Our crowd will be our advantage, and we have to use it with the performance on the pitch. It has to be exceptional because they defend deep and have counter-attack threat. Each player can be dangerous. I have the highest respect for them, but there are always ways, and we have to find them tomorrow night. We have to show we have really learned from the first game. Well, City play Arsenal in the league at the same time as Liverpool's tie. Before we go talk about transfer gossips making the rounds, let's just let you know some key fixtures to expect tonight in both the UEFA Champions League. Well, tonight RB Leipzig will face Tottenham Hotspur, and Valencia will then battle Atalanta. And tomorrow in the Champions League, we're going to be seeing Liverpool up against Atletico Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain up against Dortmund, and not just that, in the Premier League, Manchester City would be up against Arsenal.
And it's kind of Wako right now. Kind of Wako move the ball from the central midfield. Oh no, kind of Wako crosses over to Jejo Kocha, and it's a goal!
Let's go talk transfer gossips, where Manchester United are planning a £100 million summer move for Aston Villa's English midfielder Jack Grealish and Birmingham's 16-year-old English prodigy Jude Bellingham. Well, England midfielder Jesse Lingard is set to be sold by Manchester United this summer. That's according to Goal. While Chelsea's Brazilian winger Willian admits he does not know where his future lies, with his contract up at the end of the season and talks over a new deal at an impasse. While Willian's wife Vanessa Martins has suggested that her husband may be on the brink of ending his 7-year stint at Chelsea. Manchester United are leading the chase for Borussia Mönchengladbach and Switzerland defensive midfielder Denis Zakaria. While Manchester City remain confident that Argentina striker Sergio Aguero, their all-time record goal scorer, will not seek a move this summer despite a pending Champions League ban. Barcelona want to commit Germany goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen to a new contract and are confident of doing so despite interest from other teams including Chelsea. While former boxing champion Floyd Mayweather has suggested that he would be interested in buying Newcastle. You heard me right. Inter Milan could bring in Bournemouth's Bosnian goalkeeper Asmir Begovic, currently unknown at AC Milan, as deputy to Slovenian Samir Handanovic, while Real Madrid's former Chelsea goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois is a major doubt for his club's next 2 games, while Leeds have joined Southampton in wanting to sign Oxford English defender Rob Dickey. And Borussia Dortmund's German midfielder Emre Can has revealed that he turned down offers from 3 Premier League clubs, including Manchester United, out of loyalty for his former club Liverpool. Manchester United striker Anthony Martial says he is focused on a spot in France Euro 2020 squad, but only after he has helped his club achieve Champions League qualification this season. And Burnley manager Sean Dyche believes English midfielder Dwight McNeil will be getting much more attention if he was playing for a more fashionable club. Yes, that's the transfer rumors making the round. Meanwhile, ahead of that game between RB Leipzig and Tottenham tonight in the UEFA Champions League,
Still your wife is a goal.
Jose Mourinho says Tottenham have to give everything to overturn their Champions League last 16 first leg deficit at RB Leipzig. Leipzig did win 1-0 at the first leg at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium thanks to Timo Werner's penalty. And Spurs reached last season's final under previous boss Mauricio Pochettino. But Mourinho now is coming out to say it is one game. We are losing 1-0 at halftime. When we have a second half now to play, we go with everything we have. We were psychologically more down with the other injuries of Kane and Son. When you have 3, 4 or 5, to have 6 or 7 is the same. I am very much